We have to put this tragedy in perspective and the lives that were lost, including oftentimes young people who were just getting together for an event, a festival, to celebrate music and fun and having a good life. Jonathan Dekel-Chen joins us right now. Jonathan is the father of Seguit Dekel-Chen. His son is missing after this Hamas attack. He's been very kind to join us right now. Jonathan, good to have you.
Well, thank you for having me.
What have you heard on where your son might be? What have you heard, period?
Well, if with your permission, I think this needs a bit of background.
Sure.
My son and I and the rest of our family live on a kibbutz, a cooperative farm, one of many along the border that were attacked by Hamas terrorists on Saturday morning. I and dozens of other families on my kibbutz alone lost contact with our loved ones, those that were not murdered on the spot, lost contact with people taken into, that are hostages now in Gaza at around 9:30 in the morning on Saturday. And from that point forward, we have heard nothing from Hamas about their condition, if they're alive. We are entirely in the dark.
So you've heard what the ambassador had to say. You know about this ground war that could be launched any day. We don't obviously know the details. No one's going to share that. How do you feel about that? Because if he is still in the Gaza region, this could be a tense time.
Well, it's certainly a dilemma, but as in life, two things can be true at the same time. I want to wake up from the bad dream, the nightmare, that my son and at least 150 others are being held captive by savages and would want to do anything to get him and others freed. That is certainly true, and hence I'm here. And I'm also just as certain about the other truth, which is if there was any doubt about who our neighbors are, who the governing authority is, Hamas, whatever protesters might say tomorrow in this or that place, this is the heart of evil, Hamas. This attack on my home, on my kibbutz, and dozens like us, was planned well in advance. Over 100 heavily armed terrorists invaded my kibbutz with one thing in mind, killing as many people as they could find, abducting the rest, and then destroying the entire community. And what is left is just a burnt shell. I'm a peacenik. It may surprise you, but almost everyone who lives along the border with Gaza is much like me, committed to peace with our Palestinian neighbors. And most of us provide a kind of disproportionate number of combat soldiers to the Israeli army during our time of military service, but believing entirely that the only future for I had once hoped for my children, now it's my grandchildren, the only hope for peace or the only hope for a better future is a peace between us and our Palestinian neighbors, but without Hamas, without an offshoot of ISIS on our door. And again, if anyone had any doubt what this was all about, Saturday proved it. These 100 terrorists who came to kill dozens of people in my home and kidnap many dozens more, they did not come to conquer territory. They did not come to create a Palestinian state. They came to murder. And there are many names we could give to this, but this simply can't be ignored. All good-thinking people, whatever our political orientations might be or religious orientations might be, it's never been clear. Sometimes the Middle East can be a little blurry and difficult to understand. There's no more wiggle room. And it's very difficult to say right now what the day after is going to look like. First of all, I pray that my son will come home with the rest of the hostages. But even then, if this problem is not solved, for Israelis and Palestinians, of having an offshoot of ISIS ruling a place that would like to be a country, then that's a problem for the world. And there will come a time when we and they will have the leadership that's brave enough to work towards peace. It's not that way quite yet. But first, we have to get through this truly horrific crisis.
You know, you sound like a remarkable dad and granddad, and I'm just wondering how your family is holding up, how you are holding up.
Well, I'm holding up because, as an old soldier, I only really know how to go forward. And I'm filling my time and doing what I can to raise awareness about what has happened, and including the hostage situation. And these were civilians. These are not army personnel. There's no military targets in our kibbutz or anywhere around. These are teachers. These are nurses. These are parents ripped from their homes. As far as the rest of my family members, Sagi is the father of two beautiful young girls with his wife expecting their third girl. She feared for her life, huddling with her little children, along with all the other survivors of this attack on the kibbutz, not knowing whether she was going to survive during the 9 hours of assault.
Incredible.
And hearing her husband outside the door in the apartment in hand-to-hand combat, along with other young and not so young men on the kibbutz, trying to repulse these, again, heavily armed, well-trained terrorists. So the survivors of the kibbutz, the survivors from this attack on the kibbutz, they are all in a state of trauma, and it's very difficult to imagine when they'll be able to recover from it.
Well, our prayers are with you, and particularly Sagi. It seems like there's a lot of very special DNA running there. Be strong, Jonathan. Thank you for taking the time. I know that was not easy.
I appreciate your interest. Thank you.
You've got the world's interest. Jonathan Dekel-Chen, his son, Sagi Dekel-Chen, again, held hostage, one of 150, we are told, that Hamas has captive right now. We'll keep you posted on that.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.